Three, two, one, ghost. Hey, everybody. Welcome to 3, 2, 1, Ghost. As always, I'm your host with Silent G, Kyle, and as always, my road trip confidant singing jingle bells with me in the car.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
Natalie. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, everybody. We are in the thick of the holiday season. We This movie, so we're doing this movie called Dead End. Came out in 2003. Um, the, Spoiler alert, everybody. This is like barely a Christmas movie by
Barely.
many standards. They do have gifts that are wrapped in the back, and allegedly they're going to a Christmas dinner. But outside of that, like there's no Christmas music in this movie outside of Jingle Bells.
Yeah, they sing jingle bells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and that was because they couldn't afford Yellow Submarine. I was like, I called your bluff, Lin Shay. I was like, even the Ringo songs are way too expensive to license. So I don't even know, or
Do
y'all.
you still have to license it if they just like sing it in the car like a crappy cover?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
I'm pretty sure they'll figure
Hmm.
out a way, either whether it's the Beatles or Michael Jackson's estate. I don't know who owns the Beatles catalog at this point.
Yeah.
Remember that whole thing when Michael Jackson bought all the Beatles songs?
Mm-hmm. It was
Yeah,
very strange.
a smart investment though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So hey, everybody. We're in the thick of the holiday season. We're talking about a movie that is barely technically kind of a Christmas movie, but I do think that that balances pretty well with last year when we went a little overboard with two Christmas movies. So I figure,
Yeah, no, I feel like we're not doing enough.
I know, right?
But if you put the two together, then we're balanced. So it's okay.
So we're talking about this movie Dead End. It is directed by Jean-Baptiste Andrea and Fabrice Canepa, maybe? I don't
Oh.
know. I think I did an okay.
No,
It's
I think you did great.
also written by them as well. Um, right off the top, you got some industry legends in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Wise, love him always.
Love him.
That dude's just got like I don't know, an essence about him that is
Yeah.
just kind of terrifying and intimidating all the time.
Yes. Yeah, there's something about his face that you feel like you can't trust, but his personality seems like something you could. So it's very off-putting.
Yeah. Also, industry legend. We got Lynn Shay in this movie.
Ugh,
Love
love
her.
her.
I don't know if I love her in this movie, but
Well,
I
is it
think
her
she's
character or her acting that you don't love? Or both?
I think her acting. It's a
You
little
know,
much.
maybe I'll just throw this
Or
out
not
there
enough. I don't know.
now. I feel like both of them are acting in a way that isn't their norm. And it almost feels like, and this isn't to like shit on um like stage performances, but it feels like they're like acting as if this is like a play and not a movie, like the way that they're delivering lines and the way that they're emoting. But maybe that's just me. I feel like all the acting is like very over the top, maybe with the exception of Marion.
Who is played by Alexandra Holden, who
Mhm.
I was getting confused with what's her name? I looked her up, Jessica Caulfield, who played Lily and Valentine. Do you remember her?
Oh, yeah, no, they're definitely not the same people. I remember Alexandra Holden from Drop Dead Gorgeous. She's the previous what like the current what do you call it? Like the reigning queen.
Sure.
And she's in the hospital because she's anorexic. And she's really great in that. She's pretty funny.
And those two, I do get them confused, like both blonde actresses, early 2000s, in some horror movies, and then also one was
Hmm.
in White Chicks and one is in The Hot Chick,
Yes, she's in the hot chick. And then what is her name from Valentine?
Jessica Caulfield.
Jessica Caulfield. She's in White Chicks.
So you can see why I'd get confused, right?
Yeah, but like I've seen all of these movies and I love both of them.
I think me too, to an
Yeah.
extent. Um, you've got McCain, Billy Asher, Amber Smith, who plays the woman in white, and then you also have the dude that like plays the guy that I guess is like death in the end. I don't know.
Yeah.
He
I am not sure, but
yeah, he's been in video game stuff. He was in Uncharted 2, which is the best Uncharted game. I don't think that's a hot take.
I have no opinion, no comment.
There you go. Um, so you chose to do this movie.
I
Why?
did. Um, I chose this movie. Okay, you chose to do it in December. So let's just start there because you said, oh, it takes place on Christmas Eve. So we should definitely do it in December. So I'm putting that part on you.
Okay, that's fair.
I chose to do this movie because I'd only seen it once. We watched this for one of our movie nights together. And I remember just being really confused and thrown off by it, but also like very interested in what was going on. But that must have been like, it couldn't have been less than like 10 years ago that we watched it. So I really didn't have a lot of memory of this movie. I really only remembered the ending. And other than that, it was like brand new for me. So I watched it twice before us recording now.
The movie was made for I think a little less than $1 million, and you can
Mhm.
tell, and
Yeah.
that's okay. Also, going backward just a little bit, I think this would make a great stage play
No, I
because
think so too.
the set is essentially the same because they just keep
Yep.
going in loops, right? So if you just put
Mhm.
trees and shit on stage, wheel that cabin up and
Yep.
down, wheel that hearse going by, I
Yeah.
mean, it'd be going no faster or slower than the hearse was going in the movie anyway, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, no, I think it would be great as a stage play. Yeah, because the acting feels strange. The tone of the movie is also really strange because it feels really serious, but then they'll do quick cuts that are like kind of comedic.
Yeah.
And I did look this one up on Rotten Tomatoes because I was so curious to see if if it has any sort of following. So this is a 78% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's pretty wild. I was also shocked. Like I said, this movie would cost a little under $1 million to make. Never got a release in America.
Hmm.
Um, this is a French production, even though it was filmed in Los Angeles County. And this movie made like $75 million in DVD sales.
Wow.
Can you fucking believe that shit? I'm
I
like,
I could be wrong, and we'll see how many people listen to this episode, but I think it has like kind of a following, of at least a small following, but it's never been like on my list of like favorites or anything like that. I just recalled it and was like, okay, this would be a fun one to talk about. Why not? I think it'll at least be a fun conversation because it does some really weird things. And I think it actually has a lot of really cool ideas, but the execution is not the best.
and if anyone's keeping count, this movie actually has ghosts in it.
Yes, it does. So that's like our third one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm ready to hop into this movie.
I'm ready.
So this family is on a road trip to see, I guess, an aunt on the mom's side of the family. They go to the same place every year for Christmas
Mhm.
Eve. You've got Ray Wise as Frank, the father. You've got Lynn Shay as Laura, the mother. It is weird hearing Ray Wise yell like Laura and shut up, Laura. Again,
Because
I
it's
just
from,
can't remove Leland Palmer from my brain. There's also another part later where I'm
yeah.
just like, he's just in full Leland Palmer mode.
Yeah.
Um, you've got the two kids. You've got Marion, the
Mhm.
daughter. She's pregnant. She's gonna bring that up later.
Mhm. And she's like college aged because she's studying like to be a psychiatrist, a psychologist, something of that nature, right?
Yeah, yeah. You've got, yeah, she's, what did I write down? I was like, student psychiatrist, professional paramedic. Um,
Yeah.
then you've got Richard, who is
Oh,
just a fuckhead of fuckheads.
the worst person in the world. And is he, so we're assuming that Richard is high school age. This was what I was trying to figure out is like how old are their kids?
I was trying to think how old, yeah, any of them were because, yeah, those kids look like they're all 30.
Well, Richard was born in 1978, the actor that plays him. So he would have been what in 2003 in his 20s? Am I doing
Oh,
math?
don't Don't make me do that. Yeah, he'd be like 25.
25. Yeah. So like he could play high school. He looks
Sure.
young. Yeah. I'm gonna say he's 17.
You got this like really weird scene right in the beginning where they're all just kind of bickering a little bit, and like the dad, like, I don't know, like makes this dumb like Marilyn Manson like misunderstanding
Marilyn
reference.
Bronson.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, so like Marilyn Manson, ugh, very problematic, ugh,
Hmm.
pretty gross. Um, Marilyn Manson's music is better than anything that kid listens to throughout this.
Yeah. I they clearly didn't want to pay for any music because the music in this movie is a real bummer. I just feel like if it had any sort of score at all, like if anyone put effort into it, it would elevate this movie probably like one whole boo for me. Like that's how bad the music is.
It's really distracting,
Yeah.
and I feel bad, hey, I'm a musician. It's hard to write a song and and to record a song and to get your song into a movie. I bet I would have been so excited. And I'm sure people have been telling me, oh my gosh, Kyle, that song's so good. Wow, it's cool. It's in this movie. It's so
I'd
good.
tell
I'll
you the
watch it.
truth.
Thank you.
I feel
Thank
like
you.
that did not fit the vibe. It was awful.
That's terrible. And then the score itself too, it had this like weird, sometimes like, you know, a little bit like 80s chase scene kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then also sometimes just this weird, corny, like chanting. I
Yes.
don't know.
Or like
It's
there was even one point where it sounded like they were like having like sexual moans in the
yeah.
background in the music. So it all felt really weird. It definitely makes the tone of this movie confusing.
One thing that we'll learn throughout this is that the dad just keeps insisting on driving. People
So
offer to switch
annoying.
with him. I know. And then this dad, I mean, it's kind of essentially Frank's fault here, right? He
Oh,
took the
it's
wrong.
absolutely his fault.
How mad would you get if you're like, it's just, don't take some detour
Mhm.
way. I don't know. I mean, I just would have thought that like he would have looked at the map and saw getting on that road. I don't know. I just wouldn't do it.
Well, and if you are going to take a different route and you're traveling somewhere, like he got really mad at Laura later for not bringing the map, but if she's your fucking co-pilot, then you need to tell her that you're taking a different way, like, and not the interstate. Like, because then she would have said, oh shit, don't do that because I don't have the other map. And then he would have said, oh, okay, well, obviously I'm going to stick to the interstate. But yeah, they obviously aren't good at communicating and they might be like the world's worst married couple. The way that they speak to each other is so fun. I actually really just enjoy every single annoyed comment that both of them say to each other is really fun.
Yeah, it gets really ooh, it gets really out in the open later
Oh
on.
yeah. Yeah. They hate
So
each other.
everyone's asleep in the car, including Frank. Um, he
Who
wakes
should
up,
not
you've got
be.
you should not be. He's driving the car and you have headlights coming straight towards you. He peels out of the way. Everyone wakes up. Everyone goes, "What the fuck?" They
Mhm.
pull over on the side of the road and Frank's like, "Hey, I got bored. I'm sorry. I took a side road. What's the big deal? We're all here.
Yeah.
We're alive. Not a big
Yeah.
deal." Um, I guess I've just seen so many ghost stories and so
Mm.
many that like I don't know. I guess I'm trying to remember because I barely remember the movie when I watched it this time. So I guess I must have subconsciously remembered something, or it was obvious that like I was like, oh, they all died right here in the
Yeah.
beginning.
No,
And now they're
it
just on this, you know, fucking
yes. It they play it like it's such a surprise, but it is pretty fucking obvious. I think the only thing that isn't fair to the audience that they try to do to throw you off is that the lady in white is kind of menacing. Like she meddles with them a lot. Like she's like blowing out matches and like making out and like, she's just showing up. But I'm assuming she's an angry spirit at that point because it's their fault that she's dead. So there's that. So I think when I first watched this, I was like, oh, they're definitely all dead. But then as you're going through it, you're like, wait, are they all dead? Like, is she a ghost and they're not a ghost? Like, I kind of went back and forth and doubted myself a little bit the first time I watched it. But I mean, it does feel like a not good twist.
They didn't make it, maybe they made it explicitly obvious, but the car that the family crashed into, was that the woman and her baby?
Yes, that was them. So
Okay.
in what they remember at the beginning of the movie, they obviously don't crash and they just kind of run off the road. But that's why he was like, "What? They didn't even stop." Like, like fuck them kind of thing. Um, but yeah, that was her and the baby in the car.
So everyone's just decompressing, pretty stressed, pretty mad that everything that all that happened. They get back in the car and they start going. Um, the Richard's just being just fucking obnoxious and awful.
So
Um,
homophobic and anti-gay.
yeah. And Brad's like, hey, let's try some breathing exercises.
Mhm.
Very similar than the ones I do before we start each show.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like to do a good breathing exercise a little bit just to keep me in the zone, right? And
yeah.
then mom just wants to start singing.
Hmm.
I like how she was like Yellow Submarine, and then I think the daughter suggests something else, and then she's like, that's not a holiday song. How about Jingle Bells? And I was like, wait, hold on. Is Yellow Submarine enough of a holiday song?
Is it a holiday song at all?
It's not.
Okay, I'm like, no.
I remember in high school, freshman year, Spanish, I don't know, we had to do some project and I sang that song in Spanish, but a really probably not correct version. It's like
I love that.
nosotros vivimos en un submarino amarillo, right? And and it's just like, okay, we live in a yellow submarine, more or less. Um, yeah, and I think I just said that over and over and over again.
And
Saying
did you
that, and
pass?
yeah,
Good
I
for you.
probably, I think so. My grades were good in freshman year. They were just, it all just tanked afterwards.
Hmm.
So at this point, they're all just trying to calm down. And then this is when they see a woman in white on the side of the road.
Yeah, which is not, I don't know if you feel that it's an effective scare, but I did not feel like that was an effective scare when they first see her. But then when she walks by the window when
A
they're
little bit.
talking, that was better for sure.
So they get out, they try to talk to her. She's being very nonverbal at this point,
Hmm.
and she has what they think is a baby just wrapped in blankets. You cannot see this baby.
I mean, it was a baby.
Definitely was a baby. Now it's just a
Mush.
bloody flesh mush. Yeah. I did think it's funny where they're like, well, okay, I think we saw a ranger station or a cabin or something back there. We don't know where a hospital is. And I think the only person with a phone is Brad, the boyfriend, and it doesn't have
Hmm.
signal. So
Hmm.
they're like, okay, let's get this woman back. We don't have enough room in the car. How many times, like on your way, hanging out with friends? I'm not saying it's safe. I get it. But how many times have you like more than three people all crammed into the back of a car? Sometimes even someone jumping in the trunk. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure they got Christmas presents back there.
Marion can sit on Brad's lap. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brad's like, okay. Yeah. Sit on my
Yeah.
lap, girl.
They're
I
a
got you.
couple. Like, just plop her right on his lap.
Well, you learn about Mary and she's like, I really actually don't want
I don't want to be
anything
fucking
to do
near
with Brad.
Brad.
I'm bringing him to Christmas Eve just to break up with him
To tell him I'm pregnant and then break up with him.
and then enjoy that car ride back. But I do like that the parents are like, okay, yeah, I mean, you just go ahead and just walk back in the dark in the
No.
middle of the night. Well, I guess not middle of the
Mm-mm.
night. They think it's 7:30 still. And they just drive back and they just leave Marion to just walk.
I
That's so
know.
they're shitty parents.
Terrible.
But I get if it's Richard, because fuck Richard, and they don't like him
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Especially when you find out that he might not even be Frank's kid. I'm just like, fuck that
I
kid.
know. But Frank didn't know.
Frank did not know.
No.
Um, so they get to this cabin and they go to investigate. Um, Ray Wise and Lynn Shay. Sorry, I'm gonna keep like alternating between like mom, dad, Frank,
That's fine.
Laura, Lynn. and
And Ray.
Ray.
You
So
all know.
you all figure it out. So they go inside to investigate.
Mhm.
Brad stays in the car, tries to make small talk, and really overshares with
No.
this woman. And Richard's like, "Well, I'm gonna go and jack off in the woods,"
I
as you
know.
do.
Like, how long did he think they were going to be there? And he brought that poster with him
Yeah.
on the go. Like,
I mean, this was still
this is 2003, so he may not
early-ish
even had a
internet.
phone.
Yeah, may not even have a phone.
Mhm.
Two, you couldn't really look at porn on those phones,
No.
right?
No,
So,
I mean, people could send you pictures, but not like
yeah,
you weren't like going on like, websites and things like that.
right. So, yeah, I get
But
it.
still,
On a family trip, come on, man.
not even that part. Not even that part. If he brought that photo with him, like he was intending to use it at some point. He obviously didn't think they were going to stop and pick up a woman and all of this. But like he was like, "Oh, I'm going to use this at my aunt's house while they're finishing up that Christmas ham." Maybe that's the case, but like would you really bring it like on the go as a necessity? Like could you really not use your imagination, Richard? It feels like a
Mm,
lot. Like it just feels unnecessary, but I
it
don't know.
feels unnecessary. I agree. If he has it on him already, sure. But yeah, we're not even talking like a photo. This is like a magazine
The
pinup that he is like,
centerfold.
it's a
Yeah.
centerfold that he is like folded up, and he
Mm-hmm.
like had something to pin it to a tree, literally pin
He
up
uses
onto a
gum.
tree. Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But it's not folded. So like he would have had that like just folded in half neatly. Like it only has one fold. Like I'm just thinking of the logistics here. Like where was it?
He's probably just holding it with him. It's between his legs in the car. I don't know.
Brad's like,
He
"What's that?" And he's like, "Fuck off."
he seems to give no fucks.
No, he
Um,
doesn't.
so
Anyway.
like I said, the daughter, Marion, she is walking back on her own, trying to smoke a cigarette, doesn't have the lighter because Richard has it to
Hmm.
light up his picture so he can masturbate to it.
Yeah.
Um, and she's just practicing breaking up with Brad on her way
Yeah.
back. Like I said, Brad's making small talk. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to propose to her," he says to this woman.
Yeah.
Um,
Brad's nice though. I feel bad for Brad. He's the best person of the group. Maybe he doesn't last long enough to show his true colors, but he
yeah,
does overshare.
he does overshare, and she decides to overshare a little bit back and goes,
Mhm.
"My daughter's name was Amy. Would you like to hold her? She's really cold."
Babies are not usually cold for reference.
Why would this vengeful ghost, want to go after the whole family when it was only Ray Wise that was driving and fell asleep at the wheel? You know?
I don't think that okay, this is part of what's confusing because she does go after all of them, maybe because she's angry. She's like just slowing them down for our presumed reaper and getting her revenge before she, goes to the other side. But I mean, if I had the ability to get revenge on them, absolutely. I would fuck all of them, not just dad.
Like Pumpkinhead kind of situation.
Yeah, like a Pumpkinhead situation. Like, you know what? You by
I'm just gonna
proximity, you're all just accessories. I'm gonna get all you.
just
Yeah.
like Richard, you're just gonna fucking close your bite your lip
Mhm.
and just start spraying. Who cares
You,
who gets hurt in the process?
you know what? I take back what I said about Brad. I'm gonna go back on that because I just thought of something. When Marion is practicing her breakup walking down the street, she says, like, I hope you didn't really mean that you what you said when you said you'd kill yourself if I ever left you. And I'm like, Brad, that is some controlling, toxic behavior. Like, there's something wrong there. That is not a healthy relationship dynamic. So,
Not okay, Brad.
Brad actually is also he's part of this group of pieces of shit. I mean, Marion's not too bad though.
Well, it worked out kind of because she isn't with him and he's dead.
Yeah, no, that's she did lose the rest of her family, but They were a mess.
Yeah, don't even need them. So, I mean, you probably get some inheritances or some sort of like life,
Hmm.
I don't know, life insurance situation.
Yeah.
So, this woman in white hands Brad the baby. The baby is like fucked up, super like, yeah, again, like a mushy flesh pile.
It's baby parts.
He screams, everyone runs back to the car. Brad's vanished. Meanwhile, over where Marian's walking, she sees a hearse drive by, a black hearse,
Mhm.
and looks around. And then in the back window, you see Brad yelling
Mhm.
for help.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's cool. I like I said, I like that
I like
this
the
is
car.
I don't know if it's original, who knows, but like I like that it's its own little self-contained ghost
Hmm.
story with its own like more or less able to follow set of rules,
Yeah.
you know? But yeah, I like this. I like each
Yeah.
of these
Yeah,
when the
I
hearse
like
comes
when
by.
they're yeah, rolling by.
The car with the rest of the family catches up, gets Marion. She's like, "Hey, they've got Brad." They start to haul ass to try to catch up with this hearse. Thud, thud, thud.
Oh,
Whoops.
who could that be?
Um, who could that be? It is poor Brad. Better poke him with a stick to make sure.
Because he's dismembered.
He
I
is
wish
dismembered.
I wish we could have seen Mushy Brad. I know it's probably a budget thing.
I like Brad's piece of ear hanging on the antenna of the
Yes.
phone. That's
Yeah, with
good.
the he's got like the little earring there too, so you know it's him.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I said they're trying to get that phone out and realize it's just poking it with a stick because it is 2003. Is Brad the only one who owns a cell phone? Because he was the only one that owned one in the group.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Fuck,
None of them mentioned a phone.
I'm trying to remember when I got my first cell phone. I guess it
I
maybe
got
would have
mine in
been.
2003.
Okay.
And it was like that little Nokia phone where you had to like press each button 3 times to get to the fucking, ABC and shit. Like it was terrible.
I
Mm.
liked those because, and I feel like I brought this up, I'm getting deja vu, where you could program ringtones if you understood music because you had tones and
Yeah.
then it would give you a couple different octaves. And I remember not paying attention in class and I programmed it to ring the melody of The Whole World, that Outkast song.
Oh, nice. That's
Na
fun.
na na da 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 da.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I was very proud of myself. So where was I? They're able to get this phone. They're pushing Brad to the side of the road, which is really
Yeah.
the nicest thing you can do at this point.
Yeah. Oh, poor Brad.
I like how
R.I.P.
everybody else is like, "Oh, let's keep the corpses in the car."
Yeah, Brad's not family.
Brad's not family. And then also maybe they were going to offer, and Marion's like, actually, we were going to break up.
Yeah,
Don't even worry about it.
she didn't have a say because she just went into complete like shock.
Yeah.
So they didn't even ask Marion. They were done with Brad. They got that phone and left.
Lin Shaye tries to use the phone, and then
Mm.
just starts hearing what we think is that woman in white crying
Mhm.
and calling out, saying like, I can't feel my legs, my my baby, I can't hear my baby, like maybe like that
I'm
she's calling like
assuming,
911 or something.
yeah, I'm assuming that was her 911 call
Yeah.
and she maybe bled out.
So Marion's checked out.
Oh yeah.
Dad's like, do we have any coffee left? Let's get some coffee. And then sees a sign that says Marcotte on it
Hmm.
and an arrow pointing. And he was like, Marcotte must be a road. Doesn't sound familiar. I don't know if we saw
Yeah.
that on the map, but okay, let's just take Marcotte. At least it's a road we know. It'll get us to some sort of civilization. Meanwhile, also, I think we mentioned so it's brought up just like, how long they've been on the road. They
Hmm.
ask the mom how long or what time it is. She says, well, it's still just 7:30. They think that it might be broken, the clock on the
Hmm.
car radio, but then also on, I think their watch, it also says everything stopped at 7:30.
Yeah. Which the first thing that Richard says that sounds smart is like, this feels like alien activity. I'd be like, yes, that is exactly what I would think is going on, honestly, with the clock stopping.
Yeah, but didn't he blame the hamster thing on aliens? And then it turns out, no, he's just a psycho fuck.
I mean, yeah, I think that is what happened. But
So
you
I'm
do
like,
see like they're in
hold
a
on.
desolate place. Like if aliens were going to happen, this would be a good place for it. Like when they I really actually enjoy those overhead shots of the car going down the road and like just how
Uh-huh.
dense the trees are. They show that shot a couple times and I really like that because I think it makes it just feel very lonely and a lot scarier. So I believe it was aliens.
Marion finally makes a sound, but she just starts singing again,
Oh
Jingle
gosh.
Bells, and also verses I've never heard before, but I'm sure that they're
There are
real
multiple
ones.
verses, yeah.
Too many. It's like, gosh, I'm having deja vu all night. It's like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme, where you think it's only like a minute long, but
It's
turns out
long.
that is like Homer's Odyssey, like that
It's like
fucking
a four
song.
minute track.
I thought it was like six, where
It's not
he
six
is.
minutes.
That is a journey. I guess from Philly to Los Angeles is by car is a pretty far way, right? Did he take that cab the whole way?
Yeah, I think so.
Fuck, that cab driver. You
Terrible.
even take that, you even take that like thing because you're just like, oh no, I'm all the way fucking out here. I guess I live
Yeah,
in
I guess
LA
I'm
now.
working out here now. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the fresh cab of Bel Air. I'm here. No, that cab smelled weird, right? Oh, really?
Mhm. It feels longer.
It feels really long. Whatever. So, Marion starts singing again. I did think it was really funny how the mom, not knowing what to do, just starts singing with her,
Because
and then
she kept
immediately,
saying the same line over and over again, and finally was like, "Okay, I got to do something here."
I thought it was like let's try to join in and see what this works, and then like totally abandons it. She's like, ah, never mind. She is not okay right now.
Yeah, she's a mess.
Yeah. And then at this point, they roll up and they see a baby carriage in the middle of the road.
That would not be okay with me. I would you even stop? I'd be like, "Nope, we're just gonna loop right around that shit after what we've already been through. Just keep driving."
Drive right around and go.
Yep.
Unfortunately, they do stop.
Yeah.
Um, Richard is a jackass about it. And
Mhm.
makes it, seem like he's getting eaten. Ah, fuck you, man.
Yeah, he's the worst.
The parents are arguing. The dad's like, hold on, hey, let's open up some gifts. Hey, Uncle Herb had some liquor, right? I'm gonna start drinking some whiskey.
Yeah, while driving.
Yeah. He starts drinking. They're stopped in the road for a while. Richard tries to talk to Marion, and then this is when Marion's not responsive, but Richard gets frustrated and brings up that hamster story. So
Yeah.
like he is fucking psychotic. It's not
Well,
even
I'm
like he's just a jackass. He fucking urban legend microwaved that hamster with his friend.
Yeah, that's sick. And I feel like he tried to pick out the most anger-inducing story or memory that he could to try to snap her out of it, which is a strategy that some people use and doesn't work.
Yeah.
But yeah, Richard, what the fuck? That's so terrible. It's terrible enough like that people do that, but also like you took your sister's pet. What?
Yeah.
He's weird. He's a weird kid.
That's like kind of worse than like her parents resorting to just like hitting her over and over like they had. Kind of. So they all decide to get back in the car. They keep going. The dad's been drinking at this point.
Mhm.
Um, they turn on the radio and it's just like fucking like screaming like babies and cats and shit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's
It's
like, it's
it's
public
public
radio.
radio.
That's just what they play.
That's just what they do, especially in the middle of the night. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Um, the parents continue arguing. The dad starts, maybe throwing some low blows towards the
Hmm.
in-laws.
Hmm.
Um, he's like, I'm
He
not a
says,
salesman, I'm a sales manager now. There's a
yeah,
fucking difference. They need to fucking
yeah.
know it.
Respect that shit.
And then you bring up the dude that like masturbates to guns.
Oh yeah,
And then they buy him a gun for
that's
Christmas.
the uncle
Mike.
Uncle Mike. Yes, I was like, what was his name? Yeah, Uncle Mike is the one that masturbates to the guns. Yeah, and then you buy him a gun. That would be like buying Richard a porn magazine. Just
That's so
go
much
for it.
better than buying someone a gun. I'd be like, here, just here's porn.
Yeah, no, for like multiple reasons, it's
Yeah.
better. Much healthier.
Marion reveals that she's pregnant out
Hmm.
of nowhere.
Still in shock.
So they're all trying to process that. This is when Richard's just like, oh, by the way, I smoke pot. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, we know you
No
fucking
fucking shit.
degenerate. Come on, get the fuck out of here. Um, then the tire blows out.
Oh,
So they have to pull over again. As they're trying to fix the tire, parents are just continuing to fucking argue. I do like how they
I love
argue.
it.
Um,
This is earlier in the movie, but I thought the funniest thing between the two of them was when she is drinking from the water bottle and she's just like really aggressively drinking it and he's like, "Do you have to suck on that water bottle like that?" And she just looks at him so serious and is like, "This is how I drink." That felt so real to me. Like they hate each other so much, but as they're arguing, again, another really fun line. Frank says to Richard, "You handle that wrench like a whore handles a baby." I've never heard that expression before. Have you?
no, and I don't think I get it.
Like, poorly. You handle the wrench poorly. Like a whore would not handle a baby well, is what he's saying.
Well, and that's what I don't understand.
I think it'd be the
Why?
opposite, actually.
Yeah, why is someone who just is has sexual autonomy,
Yeah.
right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be
That's
prepared to
nothing
have
to
a
do with anything.
baby no more than
What's like
anyone
when you
else.
say like you're sweating like a whore in church, like kind of thing? Like people are just speaking ill.
I guess so.
That's
You're the
all.
one that fucking fell asleep at the wheel and killed your whole family.
Yeah, like come on.
And a woman and her baby too. So yeah, come on, get
Yeah.
out of here, Frank.
Yeah. You could
Um,
change the tire.
so they argue about the pregnancy, and then, the mom's upset about, Richard doing drugs.
Hmm.
He's just like, well, what about your pills, Laura? Whatever, whatever. She's
Those
like,
are
that's
legal.
different. They're legal. Depends where they shot this. I was like, weed might be legal too. Well, no, it's 2002. Never mind. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
2003.
Mm.
Um, so Richard, hey, just being Richard, goes out and, lights up a joint in the woods. Really just grooving to whatever he's got in his
Oh
headphones.
yeah.
One thing that I hated that they did three fucking times in this movie
Mm.
is this, like, you hear the music like super muffled in his headphones, and then it shifts from his headphones to like just being the
Yeah.
soundtrack during the scene. And
Yeah.
then or it'll do that and then go back to just being in his headphones. And I was
It's
like,
not good.
why in this movie? I'm so glad he's dead, because I'm like, why do we have to be subjected to this dude's shitty taste in music this
Hmm.
whole movie? The
It's
movie
a
got better once he died.
yeah, it's a poor creative choice for sure. And the movie does get better when once he dies. I agree.
The woman in white shows up in the woods to meet Richard, and they just start making out.
Hmm.
Um, he doesn't notice when this is like the only like super aggressive thing I see her do
Yeah.
is she starts like chewing his face off as they're
Hmm.
making out, and
And
he
it
doesn't
doesn't
seem to even
seem to
notice.
hurt, he doesn't seem to hurt him because
Yeah,
as she pulls away, he says, "I love you,"
yeah.
which also they can get away with weird things like that because all of it just feels like a big fever dream. Like, I don't know if this is from Marion's perspective or if each of the characters are having their own individual experiences or they're having these experiences together and then going their separate ways as the Reaper takes them. But it doesn't make a lot of sense. But I do like the effects on his mouth being bitten off. It looks really cool and I like all the blood coming down. It's pretty fun.
Meanwhile, the tire's replaced. Meanwhile, they're looking for Richard, and then they see the hearse go by. They see Richard in the back, right?
Ooh, and we lose Laura.
Yeah, yeah. Because then they get in the car, try to chase after the hearse. Frank's like, "Fuck!" He turned his lights off. We can't see it. This and this and this.
Hmm.
And then again, donk, donk, donk. Ugh, whoops. So this is when we
Hmm.
find Richard's body.
Hmm.
You only see the hand, the bloody, fried up hand sticking
It's
out,
burnt to a crisp.
and you see like a more or less accurate depiction drawn by Laura later on, just with his limbs all in different places.
No, that's of Brad.
Oh, I thought that was
That
of
was a
Richard.
drawing of Brad. No, she wouldn't draw that of Richard or
I don't
Michael at
know.
that point.
Yeah, right.
We'll get there.
Well, I mean, we're already
We're
here
here. We're
because
here. Yeah, let's.
then she's like all of a sudden just wants to drop like it's not your fucking kid. Remember Alan Rickson? And he's
I
like,
this drama that she just decides to drop. She's like, what the fuck else do I have to lose? Like
I
Richard
guess.
slash Michael is dead. But I love that she just drops this bomb about Alan Rickson, and Marion's like, who the fuck is Alan Rickson?
Yeah, and Frank's all denying it at first.
He's like, I
You'll
don't know
learn
who the
up
fuck she's talking about.
he'll bring it up later, but
Uh-huh.
and then like also like maybe he was being unfaithful to some
Uh-huh.
woman who may have had a cabin nearby, like Sally
Yeah. Yeah,
something.
yeah. She brings it up like super casual. Like, oh, didn't she buy a cabin over here?
Yeah. So, oh my gosh. They're like, all right, well, we can't leave him behind because he's family.
Uh-huh.
Whoever's kid he is, he's at least one of our kids.
He's
So,
yeah, he at least has some bloodline to this car.
yeah, so let's wrap him up and throw him in the back of the car. Um, Marion has come to, and she's
Mhm.
just kind
Yeah,
of back to normal for the
she
rest of the
snapped
movie.
right out of that. Yeah, they really use
Yeah.
the shock, like in shock thing, however they please and when it's convenient for them with characters.
Yeah. And I think even the depiction of someone's mental health deteriorating,
Uh-huh.
and this is where I'm like, Lin Shaye, it's a little
Well, she
it's
didn't
not
write it.
written well. It's not written very well, nor is it acted super well, but I do love her. It doesn't matter.
I love the way she acts it. I think she's so just having a good time.
Yeah.
I love it.
So somehow, well, for some reason, they bought Uncle Mike a shotgun, and Marion knows this and opens up and says, "Hey, well, now we can use this as defense."
Hmm.
First of all, like Uncle Irv just gets a bottle of whiskey, and they buy Uncle Mike a shotgun.
That's a huge, huge price difference.
Huge price difference.
And that is the exact kind of uncle you would not want. I mean, unless it was this circumstance in which you bought him a gun and you need protection, but like the gun doesn't really do anything for them anyway. What are they shooting at?
They throw Richard in the back. Like I said, they've got the shotgun ready. They're all back in the car. They keep going.
Hmm.
Um, Laura is
Oh my God.
just wacky at this point.
I just love her eating that pie. I feel like in a trauma situation, I would have done the same thing. I would have been like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna eat this whole fucking pie. I
First
would.
of all, first of all, she was fucking crazy before this for making this chocolate peanut butter. No,
No,
sorry.
pumpkin,
No,
chocolate
chocolate
pumpkin.
peanut butter is good.
Yeah, chocolate peanut butter's good.
Chocolate pumpkin pie that like
Uh-huh.
looks like slush. Looks fucking terrible.
It
Um,
looks like it's a chocolate cream pie is
mhm.
what it looks like, but it's a chocolate pumpkin pie and she devours the entire thing, which would make you really sick. But I do like watching her like licking the pie tin. I think it's so funny.
And she just has it like on her face and shit, and she
Yeah.
gets into the potato chips. Like she's fucking
Hmm.
Slimer or something, you know.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the dad is like, this reminds me of a story that is very close to exactly what's
Very
going on right now
specific.
about a family that drives off the side of the road. There's a couple in Rhode Island that drives by that same cliff, sees a girl, lets her inside. Girl starts screaming. The girl vanishes. Turns out she was part of the family, that
Hmm.
died on that cliff 5 years prior. Always a fun ghost story. And then
Hmm.
you've got an idea of like, oh, okay, this whole family's definitely dead. And
Yeah.
this is what's going on right now.
Yeah.
But still, it's so weird that Marion like vividly experiences all of this too. I guess
Yeah.
the
Well, she was in a coma for a little bit, they said at the hospital later on.
I guess so, yeah.
So maybe that would put her in between a plane of death and living.
They're like, Mom, you're gonna fucking get sick if you keep eating all this shit, especially so fast. She's like, I'm
No, I'm
invincible.
not.
Nothing can hurt me now. Um, Hard cut to her vomiting on the side of the
Yeah.
road. And then she also gets a hold of this
Oh
shotgun.
my gosh, she's so scary with the gun. I'd
I
be
know.
terrified.
I was like, she's absolutely going to shoot somebody.
Oh, for sure.
Which she does. She shoots Frank in the leg. Good thing Marion is pretty good, pretty good at pulling out shrapnel of a shotgun
Yeah.
shot, right? That'd be a
She's had
lot.
some medical training.
Yeah, with that distance, with that gun, at that range, I don't know. His leg would be like
Thought it would have like blown his like thigh off, right?
you you'd think. But
Because
yeah,
that
she's
looks like
able
a
to pull that
powerful
out.
gun.
And she did not like tourniquet that bandage
Mm-mm.
good enough to put over that leg.
No, is
So
she like barely just like flimsily kind of places it around his leg?
that's even still, he's just like, hey, give me some whiskey. I'm still driving.
Such a toxic fucking man thing to do. It's also his right leg that got shot. So his driving foot. It makes no sense that he would want to do that. I hate that.
Have you ever had to do that where you're just driving even like an automatic and you have to like use your left foot to gas and brake?
Yeah, I have had to do that and it's awful and really difficult. And I
Let
am
me ask
left-handed.
you. I was gonna say,
Yeah.
are you left-footed?
No, that's not how driving works. Everyone drives with their right foot, as far as I know. Like, even if you're left-handed, you drive with your right foot. But I can
Well,
drive with my left foot. I just don't because that doesn't make sense. I've only done it when um, don't do this. It's not safe. But like sometimes I wear really tall shoes and like heels and things. And when you're wearing platforms, it changes the way you drive because you get used to putting a certain amount of pressure on your foot. And I'm a worse driver if I'm doing a long drive with tall shoes. So there have been times where I had to take off my shoes while I was driving on the freeway. And so I'll switch to my left foot while I'm taking my right shoe off. Not safe. Don't do that.
wasn't you, and maybe it was on a show earlier, but didn't you say isn't it illegal to drive barefoot?
In California, I know it is. Yeah.
I don't know where I heard that.
It's I'm not sure why. I think it's a safety thing. Like
Sure.
just the way that you put pressure and like your feet are more sensitive to all those things. I don't know. I feel like you probably shouldn't drive without shoes, but I was wearing socks.
Oh geez. Oh, I wear socks. Like I just remember
Yeah.
like when I'll leave work and I'm like sitting in like traffic or something. Yeah, I fucking kick those puppies off. I'm
Yeah.
letting the
I
dogs
prefer to
out.
have them on. I prefer to have them on, but they're definitely shoes where I'm like, why the fuck am I still wearing these?
I thought about that with Marion, where I'm like, how far into the movie she finally takes his fucking heels off?
I know it's a low heel, but like, girl,
Still.
get out of those. I also probably would have changed into whatever change of outfit I brought. Like she's wearing that pencil skirt the whole time. Like she had to have brought like pajamas. Like wear your pajama pants. That probably would be more comfortable.
Something.
Yeah.
So I think that this is when they're driving again.
Hmm.
Mom's still a little batty in the back. The
Hmm.
dad is like, "Oh, okay. Um, we're not seeing this road anywhere, and it's not on the map. It must be a military road.
Yeah.
They don't put those on maps, so that must be it,
Not
right?"
the worst explanation.
No, that's pretty good. I mean, even
Yeah.
even Marion's like, "Fuck, Dad, you're a genius. That is really smart."
Yeah.
Okay, and then he's also, I don't know if this is when he, explains also too, like, hey, if we just no, he doesn't bring up the North Star yet, but he does bring up later. It's like, okay, also
Hmm.
the North Star's here. That means we've been going west. If, just math, we've
Hmm.
been driving for this long. We must have went this
Oh,
far.
this is
Here's
that
the
time. Yeah. And
odometer.
he's like, it must be a naval base.
So we just cut to the
Hmm.
coast. We should be able to be okay.
Hmm.
Which, Marion's like, fuck at this point, like, I don't know. Any ideas as good
Yeah.
as any. Laura, like I said, is just in the back waving at ghosts.
No, she pops out of the car when they're reading the map. That's when she drops that bomb about Sally Schmidt.
Well, yeah, I mean, but before that, she's like waving at ghosts, being like, "You can't see them." Like, oh, they're all smiling.
I
Why did
thought
they?
that
Or
was
no,
after.
why do they look so sad? And then she jumps
They're
out of the
dead.
car.
Yeah. But that's after all this, after reading the map. Because she like puts her arms around both of them and she's like, I really love her like saying, like, after this, like, I'm gonna just let you do whatever you want. She's like, anything. Like her face kind of like shakes. It's very intense.
That was, yeah, right. So she jumps out of the car. They stop. They can't find her. Then the hearse shows up again, and they're able
Hmm.
to stop the hearse. and then the hearse vanishes, and then it's Laura standing there again, and
Mhm.
her brains are all exposed in the back. She almost kind of feels like she's kind of like masturbating the
Oh,
back
for
of her
sure.
brain, the way
She's feeling a part of her brain that is like setting off like pleasure sensors. So she's like totally masturbating and it's just like, Alan, finally.
yeah.
I
But
was
yeah, but
like,
then
damn.
well, and then she drops all that shit about, yeah, it's just like how I've never been able to, be sexually enough for you and
These
your
are two separate
fantasies.
scenes. These are two separate scenes.
Oh my
So
God.
they pull over, they read the map. Laura pops up and she's like, hey, I know you were fucking Sally Schmidt. Like, I was never able to sexually satisfy you. Once we get through this, I'm gonna do whatever fucking kinky shit you want to do. That happens. Then they get back in the car. She's waving to her ghost friends. And that's when she hops out of the car and she has the head wound. And that's when she's like rubbing the back of her brain. So it goes in that little order, which
Thank you.
is great. And then, yeah, then she has her memory of making the cheerleading team, which was, she said, the happiest day of her life. So
Right.
at least she died in a happy moment.
Yeah, good for her. So, they just
I like
like
her death a lot.
yeah, just like Richard, they wrap her up and throw her in the car. They're like, oh,
Mhm.
let's bring mom with us.
Yeah.
She's at least we know related to you, Marion. So we can sort all this out later. This is when Frank does explain, like, I know who Alan Rickson is.
Hmm.
Um, I'm sorry, Frank. The way that your friend Alan explains, hey, there's this woman I'm in love with. She's married already. She actually has a daughter already. Um, and I think and she says she's in love with me. What do you think? And then Frank's just like, for it.
Go for it, man.
First of all, bad advice. Don't do that.
Bad advice.
Two, when Alan is like, oh, yeah, she says she wants to be with him. But like, also, I don't know. I'm not sure. But like, how could it not be any more obvious who Alan was
Um,
talking about?
when he asks him the first time,
I'm like, are you fucking my
Frank should have
wife,
been
dude?
like, yeah, Frank would have been like, who are we talking about here?
Yeah, just give me a name. Who are we talking about real quick?
Yeah. Then when they like circle back and he's like, oh man, she said she wants to stay with her husband. She doesn't want to lose her little girl, et cetera, et cetera. And then just disappears. If you didn't realize the first time, Frank, that second time when Alan, your good friend, disappears after all that, I'd be like, oh shit, Alan was talking about my wife.
But Frank's like, yeah, I never saw him after that. I don't know what happened.
But
And
he
you're like,
knows, like now he's like put all the pieces together, but oh, Frank.
so
Pretty fun.
I think Frank's almost a little checked out too at this point
Yeah.
because they keep driving. They're
He
like, we're
finally
not.
lets Marion drive too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so there's some growth, sure, even in the
Yeah, a little
afterlife, right?
growth.
And they're like, we're not going to reach this fucking beach. What are we doing?
Mhm.
The dad's like, hey, let's go run through the woods. Let's see what that does for us.
Oh man.
Not a bad idea. He was having a good idea at first, but I guess, that
It's
wasn't working
not a
either.
bad
So
idea if it's real life. And like when they find the fence, you're like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like there's hope here because you could just follow that fence has to go somewhere, you know."
and then
And
they get through the fence and then it's the
yeah.
fucking road and their car again.
Yeah. So once you realize that, you're like, "Oh yeah, y'all are really fucked."
100%. I was like, I would just give up and be like, I don't. And I think Frank even does this at this point. Like, doesn't he? I don't forget when he grabs the shotgun. He's like, I'm just gonna fucking kill myself.
Yeah,
He's
you're
probably a
like
little earlier.
something, yeah, something's off here. Like we're not making it out of this would be my thought process for sure.
100%. So they get back in the car. The dad just starts writing up this note. Oh my God, so dumb.
So
Um,
weird.
yeah.
I don't understand the note situation. Like I think it's cute that he's writing the list in the car of things that he wants to do, but like skipping ahead, why not? Why does the note still exist in real life if this
Oh, I
shit
have
didn't
no idea.
happen? Like
No
the
idea.
guy sweeping up the car wreck find the note.
and it's really like well written, like not
It's
like well
cute.
written, like,
Yeah,
but
he's got like
he,
cute little twirly like handwriting.
I know, like he
That's
was like
adorable.
writing a letter to Santa or some shit.
I mean, he's in sales, so he probably does write things down in 2003 and earlier. So his handwriting is probably really great.
And it is Christmas Eve.
But yeah,
So
his list is lame.
they find the same ranger station cabin. They think it's probably the same one.
Hmm.
Even though they're like, they all might look the same, but who
Oh,
knows? Let's
Frank
stop.
knows.
Frank knows. He's like, let's investigate this one. He goes in, he does experience the woman in white and
Hmm.
starts flipping out and swinging shit about,
Hmm.
trying to fight back. Marion comes in. She's like, Dad, what the fuck's going on? There's no one in here. He's like,
Hmm.
absolutely, there's someone in here. And
Yeah,
she's like, we need to go. Um, and again, when I was saying he turns into like full Leland
yeah,
Palmer mode,
he
he like,
changes. Like what
yeah,
what is that supposed to be about, I wonder?
because he
Does
just starts like literally just like Twin Peaks. He's just like, sorry to spoil Twin Peaks for everybody, but he's just beating the shit out of his daughter, or at least,
yeah.
slaps her a bunch and then punches her and
Hmm.
knocks her out, and then immediately goes like, just like after he kills Laura Palmer, just like, oh, I'm sorry, my baby, my baby, my baby.
Don't spoil Twin Peaks.
You spoil shit on the
I never
fucking the
spoil
feed.
things.
Yeah, you do. On the Instagram feed, shit that you share spoilers.
Well, it's already on the internet.
Okay.
It's okay.
Marion's like, Dad, we need to get the fuck out of here. There's no one in here. Let's go. He's like, no, I'm just gonna start fucking slapping and beating you. He was mad because he realized that his whiskey was thrown out because he wanted more booze.
Still, it's so like it's not in character for him to do that at all. Like presumably he's never smacked her around before.
Yeah. Though you see he smacked both his kids around at this point.
You know what? He did slap Richard. You're right.
And Lin Shay smacks Marion a bunch of times too, trying to get her to come too, right? So I'm like, I don't know.
Oh,
They're pretty
yeah.
quick to put hands on their kids.
Maybe they are a little handsy. Okay.
And then also, like, come on, Frank. Like, first of all, it wasn't your whiskey. It was Uncle Herb's whiskey. So
And he's not going
please.
to get that whiskey.
And he's never gonna get that whiskey, nor is poor Mike gonna get that gun. So I guess silver lining of all of this, right? Or unless like when, maybe the next morning, like, they find out the whole family's dead and Uncle Mike's like, "Ugh,
Ooh.
can we check the wreckage just in case? Maybe there's some Christmas presents back there. I don't know. Just in case. I don't know. So um so the dad knocks her out, puts her in the back of the car, all apologetic and shit. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah, really don't talk to
Um
me.
they're like, yeah, oh Jesus. And he starts going after the woman in white who's back in the woods.
Hmm.
So he leaves her alone in the car with the bodies
And
of,
she's knocked out.
yeah, she's knocked out. And he goes into the woods. You see that you hear some sort of altercation, some sort of like
Mhm.
slicing or like a scythe or something. I don't know if it's death. I don't know.
It sounds like his head got chopped off because you hear a slice and then you hear like that similar rolling sound effect to what we heard in Sleepy Hollow.
Love that sound.
Yeah. So it sounds like a beheading off screen.
So the dad's dead,
Hmm.
which will be verified in a little bit here because
Yeah.
Marion comes to. The fog has set in quite a bit.
Mhm.
You've got the mom who's just sitting up. I don't think she was sitting up.
I hate that. No,
Oh,
they had her sitting up the whole time. And
yeah.
if you're going to put her body in the back, like just lay her down. I would much prefer that than her sitting up. It is really, ugh, yuck.
She's like, I need to get the fuck out of here. She doesn't know where the dad is. She starts driving. She doesn't make it very far though, because the engine
No.
dies. Or they're just finally out of gasoline,
I know. I feel like
maybe.
their gas tank lasted them a real long time.
And she's like, all right, I guess I can't stop. Because if anything,
Hmm.
she's determined that anytime we stop, something bad is going to happen to us. So
Yeah.
we need to keep going. She starts walking. A tree starts bleeding on her.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was. I thought she was gonna like find like
Like a body
Brad
in the
or like,
tree or
yeah, or
something.
something.
Yeah. No, I'm wondering if that was like representative of her bleeding or if they're in a car wreck and someone was like kind of propped above her. Maybe they were bleeding out, like dripping down on her. So it was like half of a memory.
That's smart. I like that. Like I said, she finally takes these fucking heels off, walking down the
Yeah.
street.
Yeah. And she's just like pulling a full like Julie James, like, come on, come at me. Like, let's just
Yeah.
fucking do this.
She
And
finds a
tells
body bag in the middle of the road, unzips it, finds Ray Wise, her dad, in there. The hearse and the woman in white both show up,
hmm
only for the woman in white to get into the hearse. They drive off. Marion looks to the back of the hearse and sees her father in the back.
hmm And she says, the woman in white also says, like, he's not here for you. Like
Right.
she got into the passenger seat though.
Right, right, right.
I wonder if that implies that they're all going to hell and she's not.
Well, she might still, like, because I mean, she doesn't die, right? So there's plenty of time for her to do something.
No, not Marion. The woman in white, I think, is not like it because they're all in the back, trapped, looking just awful. And
Yeah.
she gets into the passenger seat.
So I think she's okay. I think if you get to
Yeah.
ride shotgun, you're okay.
I think you're going to a good place then. That's just I'm filling in a lot of blanks for this movie.
So then this is when she has this weird flashback, and then you go right back to this earlier scene where the car crash happens or they swerve out
hmm
of the way. And then she wakes up and then she is in a hospital.
Yep.
Just like we suspected, they were all fucking dead,
hmm
except for her. She was able to make it. And I think her baby, her unborn child, is able to make it too.
Yeah. Yeah. They said they're both fine. I was like, wow, surprising. Seems
Yeah,
like it was
there
a
you go.
bad wreck.
It's a pretty traumatic situation.
Yeah.
You also learn that the doctor is Dr. Marcotte.
hmm There you have it.
There you go.
But this guy,
This guy, right?
can we theorize what's going on here?
You tell me.
I mm, Here's the thing. So in Marion's, we'll say vision, where the whole movie that we just watched, clearly that car is the Reaper. It is taking people from their living plane to wherever they're going next. Okay. But is it possible that she saw this guy who reported it, like while she was half conscious, and his car? And so she like made up this whole story in her head that that car is the Reaper. Or is he actually the Reaper and he's just hanging out at hospitals, just seeing how things turned out? Like,
Yeah,
is that what you think is happening? That option B?
I think so because he exists in the mortal plane as well. And
Which makes
for
sense.
some reason, Dr. Marcotte does not deserve this at all, but she's leaving in her shift. Her car, it's a piece of shit. She
Yeah.
acknowledges that it keeps happening. It won't
hmm
start. And then you've got this Reaper character guy who's like, want to ride with me? And she's like, okay. And then it's like,
Yeah.
what is that supposed to mean?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I'm like, is Dr. Marcotte okay? Like, is she dead? Did she actually make it out of the parking lot, crash, and then just zippity doo dah right back to that moment of her not getting into her car and it doesn't start? That's the confusing part for me. But I do like that she says, nice car. And he says, I'm a collector. I thought that was pretty funny. Little Grim Reaper humor.
If someone rolls up in a hearse and you say nice ride, I don't know if that's it's a hearse. It's not like I don't know.
Was it still a hearse though
Yeah,
in the park, like in that parking lot?
I think so. Yeah,
Maybe Dr. Marcotte's into spooky shit too. Like, I don't
I
know.
guess so. If I were her, I'd
He's
be like,
definitely
hey,
flirting with him.
but then having like the name of the road be Marcotte or whatever. If I were her, I'd be like, do not drag my name into this. I want
hmm
nothing to do with this bullshit. this tomfoolery. Get the fuck out.
Well, I'm assuming that Marion saw her name tag, like, because there's always a question of like how conscious people are when they go into a coma, or if they're, if maybe she was slipping in and out of it because she went through like a head trauma, whatever it may be. So maybe she saw the name tag and that's why it kept coming up as a street sign, like, because all the pieces are like muddled. So I
Yeah.
think they do some interesting stuff there, but it's like it's very lazy and like haphazardly put together.
Yeah. Um, that's essentially the end of our movie.
Mhm.
Marcotte leaving with who we think is Death. And you have this other scene later where you've got the road cleanup guys that are cleaning up like, the car debris from the accident.
Yeah.
And they find this very well together, perfectly written note saying things I'm going to do if I ever get out of this. One, buy an Atari. Two, be the best granddad I can be. And I'm like, first of all, you better be a fucking good granddad. And you're buying
Yeah.
him an Atari. I better get an Atari as well. So, first of all, that is not the same thing.
You better be a better granddad than you are father, and apparently
Yeah.
stepfather. But like he's just slapping around his kids. Don't put hands on your grandchild.
I
No.
liked how before Richard died, he like also was like, well, pregnant. And he was like thinking like almost of like, wow, what did he say? Like, like, hey, beanbag, I'm your Uncle Dickie or whatever the fuck
Yeah,
he
I'm your Uncle
says.
Dick. Yeah.
And then he like, so he almost like fantasizes about threatening his like niece,
Yeah.
nephew, nibbling,
You know
it's
what? Maybe they are like they have like kind of a domestic violence like situation going on here because that's a weird way to like fantasize of having like a new like niece or nephew. Like,
I'm
why
gonna
would you
fuck
eat?
you up.
Yeah, why would you immediately go to like, yeah, like don't mess with me. I'm gonna fuck you up.
He needs more
Yeah,
weed, dude, to fucking chill out. God
yeah.
damn.
But you know what? It feeds into my theory of all of them going to hell because it did seem like they were all kind of pieces of shit in their own way.
And that's the end of our movie. Merry Christmas,
Yeah.
everybody. That's the end of our Christmas movie.
It's a
Um,
family movie too.
it is a family
Yeah,
movie.
we love family movies.
Anything I've left out?
No,
Huh.
we got it.
Okay. All right. Hit me with these taglines, if there are any.
This movie has one tagline, and you're going to
Okay.
think to yourself, wait, Natalie, is that actually from this movie or is that from a different movie? Because it sounds very familiar.
Okay.
Read the signs. As Final Destination, they have one that was like follow the signs. The
Mm,
same fucking thing.
it's really just one sign that says Marcotte over and over again.
That's true.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
no, thank you.
That's it. Read the signs. I feel like they could have come up with something else fun, but that's your tagline.
I think it's my turn to go first with the boo scores.
I think so too.
Okay. Um, okay. Like, I'm always gonna give it some credit because I like a ghost story,
Uh-huh.
a self-contained ghost story, with either none or barely one survivor. Um, yeah, like I think it could have worked really well as a stage play.
Yeah.
And I think it would be better with some better acting. Though I
Yeah.
will say fucking Ray Wise brings it, and he brings it 100% all the time.
Yeah,
And
he's great.
I will agree that maybe I was a little too hard on Lynn Shay. She's great.
Yeah. She's just given it's a wacky role. Like the stuff that she's
Yeah.
given to work with is pretty wild, but I think she does a good job and she's scary as fuck when she's holding that shotgun.
When Marion like pulls the sheet off her when she's sitting in the back of the car, like she's looking, I don't know. Yeah, it's good. She's looking real creepy, real spooky.
Hmm.
Um So yeah, of course, Lin Shaye, Ray Wise, industry legends, great. Everyone else, not so great at
Not
all.
so much. No.
What can you do? It's okay. Um, it's fine. I wouldn't recommend this movie to anybody, not as a horror movie, not as a holiday movie. Um, you tell me if I'm being too hard.
No, go ahead.
I'm gonna give this 1.5 booze.
I don't think that's too harsh.
Thank you.
I did go higher though.
What do you got?
Okay. I I'm going to be a little bit kinder to this movie because I think it has a really interesting foundation. Like I really like all of the ideas of it. This is a perfect example of a movie that I would love to see a remake of, like with a better budget. I think
Yeah, I
it
think a much higher budget movie would
Yes.
be
And
better.
then you could fix the score, you could fix the soundtrack, you could purchase Yellow Submarine, you could do all those things. And you could like just clean up some of the stuff that doesn't really make sense. Get rid of the homophobia, do some of that because I think it does have some fun ideas. I think Lin Shaye is really fun. I think Ray Wise is really fun. And I love the dynamic between the two of them and their like long running marriage. I think it's really funny. And I've met married couples like that. So it's it makes me laugh out loud a lot, but it's not a great movie. I also wouldn't recommend it to very many people. I would recommend this to anyone who just really loves Lin Shaye or Ray Wise. I'd be like, yeah, sure, watch it. That's really the only people I would recommend it to. So I'm going to give it 2 boos,
Okay.
just a little higher than you.
I wonder what the movie would be like if you just got rid of the kids entirely. You had just one like couple, like one like empty nest couple in Ray Wise and Lin Shaye
Mm,
that are struggling to keep a marriage together after the kids are gone, and it's just the two of them. I would love to see just
mm,
them back and forth, nothing
yeah.
but for the whole movie. I think that'd be so much fun.
And they could just have more creepy encounters with the lady in white that don't kill them before they like act meet their end. That could be
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
So, okay. Happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I'm missing anything.
You're not.
I don't think so. That's all I got. I think this movie is it's enjoyable enough. I think I almost feel like a little bad coming in with 1.5 because I'm gonna keep it, but I do think that you like yes, were you softer on it, but I don't know, I agree. And I think you're like maybe I'm the Grinch this season and you've softened my cold Grinch heart on this
Aw, I'll
movie.
take that as a win. I dropped my boost score. I originally had 2.5 and I went down to a 2,
So I
but like
Grinched you down to a
as we
2.
were going down. So you made my heart colder and darker.
All right. Happy holidays, everybody. Take care. 3, 2, 1, ghost.
Thanks for listening to our episode on Dead End. If you enjoyed this episode, you could subscribe to our podcast and leave us a killer review on whichever platform you choose to listen. You can find us on Instagram at 321ghostpod and give us a follow. We're very active on Instagram and would love to hear from you. You can shoot an email to 321ghostpod@gmail.com to share any thoughts, questions, or request a movie you'd like to hear us chat about. Next week, as a listener request, we're covering 2003's Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Thanks again for listening, and remember, never take the shortcut. Happy holidays. 3, 2, 1, ghost.